Before I start this video, I want to begin with this. If you are experiencing any sort of mental health crisis, having suicidal thoughts, stop what you're doing right now, close this video, and seek immediate attention. Dial your local hotline, reach out to somebody that you trust. Get yourself somewhere safe. You are not weak, you are not alone, you are not a burden to anybody. The pain that you're feeling is real, you are suffering, and you do need help. Get the help that you need right now. Oh, Jesus Christ. What is this? Fucking take 4? Are you ready? I'm ready. I feel terrible emotionally. Got a new fancy mic. It's not hot as fuck. Basically, we're gonna have a great video. Good morning. How are you doing today? Better, I hope, now that you're here with me at this godforsaken shithole of goose shit smelling lake. No, you're good, you're good. I thought I would be sweating more through these overalls, but actually it's pretty nice out for fucking once. Boy, we have a topic to talk about today. Suicide. To everybody watching this who is currently battling depression, having thoughts of self-harm or suicidal thoughts, I want you to know that I see how hard you work just to get to tomorrow, and that I'm proud of you. I see you, I feel you, and I love you. Now, in case you weren't aware, but last week, September 4th through September 10th, was National Suicide Prevention Week. It's an annual event. Oh, you didn't know? Me fucking either. Pretty interesting, isn't it? An annual suicide prevention event that doesn't really get any coverage. Almost like suicide and mental illness are just two things that people don't really like to talk about. It's not like the suicide rate, after adjusted for age, has increased by 30% over the course of 20 years. Males being 80% of people who commit suicide suffer in silence. Am I right, boys? Way to show those stupid small brain, always talking about their feelings girls that us boys are better at stuffing all their emotions down so deep that it isn't until it's too late to realize that something is actually wrong. Cesar, what makes you think that you could talk about suicide? I don't know. Nothing, really. Do you want to see the scars on my arm? Sorry I don't have my handy dandy suicide rope that I was going to use to hang myself with. Those are in my other overalls. All I've ever tried to do with all this is to get somebody to feel comfortable enough to share their experience, to not be afraid to be vulnerable. Because if you think that I'm weak for anything that I've ever experienced, I'm gonna take your brain and I'm gonna use it to go fishing in this fucking lake. Here's something for the boys. If no one in your immediate circle has the balls to tell you this, then I will. Gentlemen, it is not a woman's job to fix you. Women are not a rehabilitation center for emotional men who continue to deny that being angry makes them an emotional person. Do not force a woman or anybody to adjust themselves around your inability to cope with your issues. Find your own resources, do your own research, and do your own work. Fuck. Now that I got that out of the way, Jesus. Are you guys familiar with the saying, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together? When are you going to comprehend that suffering alone is the attitude that is going to end up killing you faster? Ask for help. You're not tough just because you suffer. Yes, enduring any sort of hardship when there's no other choice, whether it's circumstantial, beyond your control, it will make you tough. But if you willingly choose to suffer, and suffer alone, when there's absolutely no need to, instead of addressing the problem and taking the steps to suffer less, what are you doing? I'm not saying this from a place of anger. I'm saying this from a place of empathy, from a place of frustration that we can't talk to each other because talking is fucking gay. Talking, that's what bitches do.
It's not crumbling into a ball, crying your eyes out and say, I have emotions too. That just makes you a bitch.
I'm sorry that the people around you, your support system, have failed you so miserably that you feel the only way to live life is to suffer. I'm sorry that the emotion that you feel the most is probably rage and anger. I'm sorry that you've never been able to understand what peace is because of the trauma that you've experienced at the hands of people that were supposed to be protecting you. I'm sorry that you have to hide behind a veil of toxic masculinity in order to feel validated, in order to feel like you're enough. I'm sorry that you have your goddamn work cut out in front of you if you want to get better and heal properly. And I'm sorry if you choose not to. Because at the end of the day, it's not up to me to help you. It's up to you. A question I like to challenge myself with a lot is, what kind of man, what kind of father, what kind of husband, what kind of partner, what kind of human being would I be if I went around miserable and unhappy and unfulfilled? And I understand that it's not possible for everybody right now, if ever. But I sure as fuck am gonna try, even if it kills me. I think that's a very interesting thing that happens, at least for me, and it is probably a problem. But when you've been so close to giving up, you really don't care about what happens to you. You become reckless, and that's a problem that I have. I do things recklessly because if I die, it's not my problem. Not anymore. I'm sure that the general consensus when it comes to life is, yes, while life is nothing but suffering, when you actively try to work through some of those issues that you have, you can at least choose how much you want to suffer, if at all. And just to be clear, I'm not trying to discount anyone's depression, anyone's mental illness, anyone's suicidal thoughts. I'm not trying to sit here and give you a fucking band-aid of advice and in hopes that you go, thanks, I'm cured, bro. I'm not. I'm speaking from my experience and what has worked for me. I know that depression can be debilitating. You don't want to get out of bed. You don't want to shower, brush your teeth, or eat. I know that depression can be high functioning. If there's anything that I fucking hate, it's the thought of discounting someone else's pain. A massive issue with suicide and mental health issues in general is the fact that they've become so goddamn stigmatized, nobody feels comfortable enough to talk. If you're the kind of person who doesn't vibe with suicide or mental illness because you think those motherfuckers are soft as fuck your vibe. You can always tell the people who never have really suffered in life from those who actually have. And more often than not, the people who haven't suffered in life tend to think that way. A moral or ethical dilemma that I constantly have is finding myself wanting those people to suffer just as much as I have, wanting them to feel my pain for what it is. Because sometimes it feels like that's the only way I'll ever get anybody to understand. But that doesn't solve the issue. A person shouldn't have to suffer just as much as I have in order to empathize with me. I hope that you never have to sit at the edge of your bed, overwhelmed by every single thing, all hitting you simultaneously, trying to figure out what part of the clothes rack in your closet is strong enough to hold up your entire body weight. I hope that you never have to stand in your bathroom staring at yourself in the red, puffy eyes while the water's running and the tears well up until you can't see. All you can see is red coming from your wrist and being washed away into the drain because you can't feel anything and you're trying to feel something. I really hope you don't. You shouldn't have to experience that kind of pain in order to believe that those moments were very real for me. And perhaps in what could have been a real last moment of mine, I'm just lucky that the thought that somebody somewhere out there discounted my pain because they've never experienced any themselves, it would have invalidated me as a human being. And it could have been the reason why it won. Time and time again, I've been able to not let it win. I've been able to get control over it. I've been able to work through it. But that doesn't mean that it goes away. It never goes away. Try it. I know it might be difficult, but try just for once in your fucking life to have the littlest shred of empathy for somebody else. Congratulations. Your life may be better than mine, but it sure as fuck isn't worth more. Goddamn geese. The question I always ask myself in this situation, do I actually want my life to end, or do I want my life as I know it to end? For the most part, the answer has always been the latter, but I still do have my moments where I want to die, just not that frequently anymore. But to elaborate, I've been at crossroads in my life where I felt so trapped and so overwhelmed that the only possible way that I could escape all of it was to just ditch everything, get the fuck out. I became so tired of surviving, and for once in my life, I wanted to thrive. It's a different kind of suicide, but in my head, perhaps the death of who I was could lead to something different, Not better, but different. And like I mentioned earlier, I do have a problem with being reckless, with throwing myself into situations because I don't care about what happens. I don't care whether I live or die. I just want to feel something. The thing that gets me the most times is the doubt that hides under the definitiveness of death. Not knowing if things can get better. Not knowing if I did everything in my power to get better. And maybe that's the reason why the latter of the two options always prevails. If I ever get to a point where more often I'm considering the former, I probably have a huge problem on my hands. The thing about suicide and mental illness and suicidal thoughts and self-harm and everything is so gray. Not everyone can just grit their teeth and fucking fight tooth and nail every day. That becomes exhausting. That is exhausting. I've been there. I understand that. I'm tired all the time. That's why you have to take the wins as they come. And sometimes a win is getting out of bed. A win is opening your eyes. A win is taking a breath. Not every win has to be magnificent in this battle against your mind. That's the only way that I have learned how to push through. As I stand here right now, I can honestly say that the painting that makes up my life has never been so beautiful, so abundant in opportunity and growth. Shut the fuck up, please. After my last video, You Did Good, Son, I was able to apply that idea to everything that I've had to go through to get to this point. Not just all the hard work I've done, but all the pain and suffering. Being able to look at that and recognize that, yeah, life has been pretty dog shit, but I'm still here is pretty eye-opening. That being said, every day is still hard. Every day is harder than the last. Having to fight this battle every day to try and not let it win is exhausting. And I wish I could tell you that one day I sat down and just decided to not let it win. And I wish I could tell you that from that point on, that every day after that, I could put a stamp on every day and walk out with my head held high. That's a fucking lie. The truth is that trying to not let it win is a conscious decision that I make every single day, motivated by different things every single day. Most of the time it's stubbornness and just sheer anger at the fact that I have to do it. That's probably most days. Other days, it is easier to see the things that are good and positive and beautiful that make me not want to let it win because I don't want to lose that. And as much as I want to sit here and tell you that it does get easier, there's no way to guarantee that. But if you can stack more of these wins on top of each other, and with every act of defiance against it, you tally up more of these wins, things start changing. If you feel like you need to rest until you're yourself again, rest. If you need to cry, cry. If you're tired of pretending that everything is fine, stop pretending. Tell somebody that you're not fine. If you need space to be alone, take the space, but make sure that you let somebody know so they can check in on you. If you don't have the physical, mental, or emotional capacity to be present, speak up. If you feel like you are a burden to other people, tell them, because you are not. And I understand that people's inability to advocate for themselves comes from trauma. I understand it comes from problems that you've had before. If you come from a household where you could never talk, or you're never allowed to speak, how are you gonna? If you've been in a relationship before where you were never listened to and you were chastised for speaking up, how are you gonna? If you think that what you have to say isn't worth a damn, how are you gonna? It's incredibly frustrating, but you do not want to get to the point where it's too late. You have to speak up. You have to advocate for yourself. You have to get it out. You have to let people know how you're doing. Please. You do not want to get caught in a vicious cycle of self-torment and self-hate because you were never allowed to speak. You can speak now. I'm letting you. I'm telling you it's okay. Fuck them. Tell people how you feel. Most times, I would say, a small piece of you does have to die if you want to make a huge change. And it's terrifying because making these changes and getting better, you may have to leave some people behind. Your life as you know it would end, and that is horrifying. And I don't blame anybody who's not capable to do that. I am in no way, shape, or form a mental health professional. I didn't go to school for anything. I am, however, a human being who does suffer from the thing that you're probably suffering from. And in some cases, the amount of convincing it takes for someone else to believe you is almost not even fucking worth it. You shouldn't have to get more sick. You shouldn't have to get worse in order for someone to be like, oh fuck, that might be real. If you need support, if you need a safe, non-judgmental space to get your thoughts out, if you need empathy, you have it in me. There's so much negative shit in the world nowadays, and I refuse to shy away from it. I refuse to not accept it, because you do need both sides to be able to live. But an excess of love and empathy doesn't hurt. It doesn't. Whatever this thing that I do that means so much to you and so much to you all, I just want you to know that I appreciate the fact that you're here, and I appreciate, despite all of your suffering and all of your pain and anger and frustrations, that you are strong enough to go one more day. I know it's hard, and I'm proud of you. To everyone that is not here with us, I'm sorry for your pain. I'm sorry for your suffering. I'm sorry for every moment that hurt. You're remembered every day. To everybody that has lost somebody to suicide, to mental health illness, to depression, you're still here. We're still here. You're not alone. Make it count for them. Don't let it win for them. I love you guys. To those I love, thank you for sticking around.